Our next guest today on Bookscape is a well-known author and poet, often fondly called the Indian Dr. Seuss for her playful mastery for nonsense verse. She has shaped generations of young readers through picture books and chapter books that blend humor, warmth, and imagination. Among the earliest Indian picture books to gain international acclaim and awards, her work includes Tiger on a Tree, Catch That Crocodile, and Elephants Never Forget. She has collaborated with leading illustrators worldwide and later captivated older readers with Moin and the Monster and the Zain and Anna series. She is also the co-founder of the acclaimed indie publishing house Duckbill Books, which has won national and international awards. Please welcome Anushka Ravishankar.
Hi, thank you for that.
Ma'am, you have written for children across age groups. What for you is the biggest difference between writing for children and writing with a child sensibility?
See, a lot of people, when they write for children, try to imagine a child out there who they are writing to. I find that the danger in that is that you end up writing down to the child. Whereas if you write with a child's sensibility, which I think is the only way you should write with children, you try and put yourself in the shoes of a child. You try and remember the child that you used to be. You try and go back to your own childhood and try and re-inhabit yourself as a child, and then write. I feel that lends the book a certain immediacy that is not there when you're writing to children. That ends up being a little, a little preachy when you're writing to a child, because you're thinking of the child out there and what does the child need to know, and then you write to that, and it ends up being a little preachy, and I think that's the worst way to write a children's book.
So, ma'am, are these stories are the imagination of your childhood or something like that?
Well, some of them are. I think in some ways, I really believe this is true of a lot of children's writers. In some ways, we never grow up, right? So I still enjoy this kind of, I write these books because I usually enjoy reading. So you have to be able to, when I say go back to your childhood, it also means that child in you is still very much alive. So I really believe that a lot, and in fact this is something that another critic of children's books has said in a very nice book, which talks about all the children's writers, and she has talked about how all of them, for one reason or the other, never really grew up. So I think that's one part of being a children's writer.
The story talks about fear in a way. Why do you think it's important for children to talk about fear?
You talk about Moin? Moin doesn't actually talk about fear. That's the thing. The moment you say monster, everyone assumes that it talks about fear and how you get past that fear. Even children who write about the book say that. It shows you how to not be afraid. It actually does nothing of the kind. It's just a crazy, silly book about a very silly monster who eats bananas and sings silly songs. The thing is that, I was in fact working against the cliche of monsters being the only cliche I have kind of added in the book is that the monster was under the bed. And even that has been kind of subverted because the monster says, I don't know why I have to be under the bed. It's some silly monster. So there is no moral to this book. There is no. Also, the usual thing in a book would be that, the monster, Moin meets the monster, they don't get along, and then they end up being friends. That doesn't even happen. At the end, they just tolerate each other, not being friends. So it was kind of deliberately anti-cliche kind of thing.
Yeah. So, ma'am, what freedom does nonsense give you as a writer?
The thing is that nonsense helps you kind of, the tyranny of meaning can be broken by nonsense. We all learn to read because we all learn words because words make meaning, and nonsense subverts that. And for me, again, see, you write what you enjoy, and I enjoy that whole subversion of logic and the subversion of meaning and the using of silly words and sounds. And It's very liberating. It's liberating to read and it's liberating to write.
Yeah. Moin and the Monster resonate deeply with young readers. What do you think children recognize in Moin?
I think that children don't get to see enough silliness in books. I know from experience of reading to children that they just enjoy the absolute silliness of the monster. The books are full of very, very silly songs which the monster sings. So I have parents complaining to me saying that, they won't stop singing those silly songs. so like, so that, I think that's what it is. It's good to see a book where it doesn't teach you anything and it doesn't have any solemn lesson to be learned. They just enjoy the complete, chaos that is there in it.
Uh, from your experience as a writer and editor, what truly helps raise long-term readers?
Um, the only way a child will be a reader is that if you let the child choose the books that he or she wants. What happens is always, when I go to school, I always ask how many readers are there, how many people like to read. And then I talk to the ones who say they don't like to read, which they very reluctantly admit because the teachers are around. But finally, some of them realize that this is a space that they can talk about these things. So when they tell me that they don't like to read and I talk to them, I realize it's because they're not allowed to choose what they want to read. So there'll be parents who say don't read fiction because it's pointless. There'll be parents who force them to read classics. If you let them choose what they want to read, they will eventually come upon that book that finally tips them into reading. And that has happened. I've had many parents come and tell me that they or even children come and tell me that I used to not like to read. And then I read Moin and the Monster and I started reading because they realized suddenly that, okay, there are these kind of books which are just silly and which don't kind of try to teach you things. So it's about choice, ultimately. If a child can choose her own book, she will become a reader. That's what I believe.
But most parents don't choose books that are not teaching some morals or lessons. So, is there anything you want to say to those kind of audience?
Yeah, for sure. I really urge you to let your children read what you want to read. And, and also as a parent, if you read with your child when they're young, the child is more likely to become a reader because they see that reading as a pleasurable activity that you do with your parents and that stays with them forever. And also they see the parents reading on their own as well because this also happens a lot. I go to a place and parents come to me and say, ma'am, how do I get my child to read? And then I ask them, do you read? And they say no. Then how do you expect them to want to read? So it's also setting an example, right? Children will always do what they see their parents doing, not what they're told to do. So you have to read yourself, you have to read with your child, and you have to let them choose.
So is there something adults often overthink about purchasing a book or they underestimate choosing a book when they basically the same question again. Children usually go for the books that are very eye-catching, the name of the title is very eye-catching and everything. But parents usually do, there's no lesson in it, there's no morale in it, don't do this, don't do that. So,
so we used to encounter this a lot when we used to have a stall for Duckbill here. We'd have children coming and saying, I want this, and the parent would say, nahi, wo honey, take that. And we used to try and tell the parents, please let them buy what they want. I think, see, there are a couple of things here. One is that we do underestimate our children. We tend to give them books that we feel that would be okay for them. Quite often, children are quite capable of reading much, more books that are not typically for their age. We might sometimes need to then talk them through those books because they might have things that they've not encountered before and you might want to just talk them through that, and that's fine. Like when my daughter was little, she was too young to read Toni Morrison. She wanted to, and I didn't know what to do. And then I asked her her English teacher said that she wants to read this, and she's too young for that. It was very disturbing. And so the teacher would let her read it, but then after that sit and talk to her, see what, because it's a very disturbing book, please make sure that you know. So that is something that parents need to do, and parents sometimes are too lazy to do that. But the flip side of that is also this, that children also tend to go to the books that all their friends are reading, comfortable books like every child wants to read Geronimo Stilton, and they'll only keep reading Geronimo Stilton. So sometimes the parent has to expose them to other books so that they know that, you know, so that they get a chance to try some other book, and maybe they will switch from something like Geronimo to something slightly better.
Basically, parents get uncomfortable in a way that if my child will ask me about something inappropriate, kind of a thing, so they get very uncomfortable in telling them that this is this and this is that. That's why they also don't buy that kind of books if there's something related to genders or
Right.
sexuality or something like that.
Right, that's see. On the contrary, I feel that it's very nice to point them to books about things that you don't want to talk about, because then they learn about it without you having to get into those uncomfortable conversations. But yeah, parents are kind of censoring what they children read, and they're back to the same thing again. Because you need to give children the choice to read whatever they want. Ultimately, they are going to go out in the world and learn about it. So it's a good thing that they learn it through a children's book, which is meant for their age.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.